You all have to thank my 17-year-old IT nephew for helping. My computer was not cooperating.
Oh dear.
It's good to have smart nephews.
Oh my God. He's a genius. You know, he comes in and goes, oh, off that.
You're all set, Diane.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Board of Trustees meetings for Lucy Robbins Wells Library on Monday, February 8th, 2021.
Diane, somebody needs to mute there. I can hear background noise.
Yeah. Iris, I don't know if you have something playing in the background. Can you mute? There we go. Thank you. Great. Okay. Very good. So I believe that if you want to unmute, you can hit the space bar to unmute to ask a question or speak. So that's a quick way to keep the background noise down to the minimum, but still enable you to jump in at any moment and share what's going on. Gail, can you see who is online, or do you want to?
No, I'm only on the phone.
Okay, so I see a few more people popping on, and we will do roll call. I know we have a quorum, but we'll go ahead and do the official roll call.
Okay, thanks. Anna?
I'm here.
Laurel?
She's there. She didn't hit her space bar.
Okay. Judy? Is Judy in?
No, I don't see her.
Okay. Lisa Jones?
Here.
Pauline?
Here.
Iris?
Iris is here. She was muted.
Okay. Beth? Is Beth there? Beth Livingston?
I don't see her anywhere.
Okay. Maureen, I heard. Leanne?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Maureen. Leanne?
Here.
Okay. No, Pam. Neil, I heard. Diane, I heard. And Christine?
Here.
Lisa Maston?
Here.
Karen Benner?
Here.
Dave Nagel?
Here.
Chris Miner?
Here.
And from the Friends, Sheila?
Here.
Okay, that's everybody unless somebody else is there that I don't know about.
I don't see any other faces or folks signed in, so thank you very much for that. James,
you.
do we have anybody for public participation?
Nobody this evening.
All right, then we'll move on to Town Council Liaison. Chris or Dave, do you have anything?
Just to let you know that, and I believe Chris received it too, a short video and also brief information about a leak in the library this past weekend in the roof. I'm sure you'll be talking about that later. And I've briefly talked with the town manager about the plans that Lisa had talked about in terms of us doing a quarterly report for you. And I will be talking to the mayor and others, and we'll get back to you briefly. There's a process by which something's put on an agenda and when. It's relatively simple, but we have to go through the process. So
Great,
that's it.
thank
If you have questions, there may be something Chris wants to add.
Okay. No, I'm just going to remind folks that we have two Lisas, so it helps if we say Lisa Jones in this case,
Lisa
Dave,
Jones.
or Lisa Maston. It'll get confusing by the end of the evening if we don't do that.
Yep.
Chris, was there anything you wanted to say or add at this point?
Not at this point.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you both for that. Appreciate that.
And Secretary's report, Iris? Iris, are you there? I can only see your ceiling. There you are. Secretary's report?
She's not.
She's
Just
muted.
getting her to unmute.
She's got to unmute.
Unmute. Unmute. How do you tell somebody to unmute when they can't hear you?
There she goes.
I
There
have
she
no
is.
report.
Okay, thank you.
I do
And
think we
then
should,
we'll,
if anyone knows, I'm sorry, if anyone knows Marie Dowling's son's address, perhaps we should send a sympathy card to him. I don't know. I mean, if somebody can find it out for me, I'd be happy to do that.
yeah, we're working on getting Michael's address and Amy's address. So
Good.
we'll share that for people to be able to send cards out.
Great.
I also,
Um,
this is Maureen. I spoke with Marian Amadeo today, who was a very dear friend of Marie's. And she's been in touch with Michael, and Michael had mentioned that he was going to put an obituary in the local paper, is how he described it. And I told Marian, I said, the town crier is not physically, available anymore. And I said, when you speak to Michael, recommend the Hartford Courant, because Marie's fame spread beyond the library and beyond Newington. So she agreed, and she was going to speak to Michael. So, all that information I'm sure would be included, but I can get Michael's address if you'd like from.
That would be
That would be
great.
great. Michael's and Amy's, if you would.
Yeah,
I-
and I know that Michael is going to request donations to either the library or the Friends. I'm not sure which group, so.
Super.
Okay.
Thank you, Maureen.
You're welcome.
Okay, the minutes of last month's board meeting. Does anybody have questions or comments or corrections?
Diane,
Yes, Laurel.
Yeah. On page 5, in the first paragraph after the budget update,
Mhm.
2 times where parity is sent, is established, it should be parity, P-A-R-I-T-Y.
Okay,
Thank you.
Oh, parody.
thank you, Laurel.
And I think
Anyone else?
I was trying to find it earlier and now I can't, but I remember in reading Gary Furstenberg was referred to, but only by the name Gary, and I didn't know how important it was to mention his last name and his role as town engineer.
I think both of those are important, so thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
This is Anna. I have another suggestion for correction on page 6.
Mm-hmm.
It starts off, Anna suggested that this discussion started off as the board formally have a vote of support for the budget. If I said it that way, that's not my intent. Should have read Anna noted that this discussion started after a suggestion for a vote by the board on the proposed budget. And Gail, I can send you that wording.
Yeah, please do. I was just going to say, can you do that? I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, the Gary.
And can I have Gary's the spelling of Gary's name?
Yeah, well, I'll send that to you.
It's on
Okay,
page
thank you.
7, the top of page 7. Not
Thank you.
the reference.
All right, any other points or corrections on the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes as amended.
Thank you, Leanne.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second. Laurel.
Please, yeah, thank you. Please give your names. If Gail's not looking on the screen, she can't necessarily see who's seconding. Okay, all those in favor of accepting the minutes of last month's meeting as corrected or as
Aye.
amended?
Aye.
Opposed? Anyone abstaining?
No.
All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Diane,
Yes.
just for the record, Beth Livingston arrived at the meeting at 7:07.
Great. Thanks, Beth. Thanks for joining.
Oh, Beth.
Welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so review of the annual activities calendar. First, let me say that Anna sent me a couple of things to add to the calendar. I haven't put them in yet. They came in the last hour or so. But typically in February, we are finalizing the 5K race sponsors, reviewing the budget, and PEP is working on the director's evaluation. And all of those things are in progress now. And as we've said before, some of these things have changed in the last year in terms of timing and even what we're available to do. But that's what's happening for us right now in February. And we'll get to those individual items when we hit them on the agenda. So next, I would move to the Treasurer's Report with Leanne Mankey. Leanne?
All right. I sent out the report. I have not actually been into the bank since I drafted this in the middle of last week. So I know there's a check to pick up and a couple of changes that have to be made. But as of the 3rd, this was current. The Santander checking account, we had a small amount of income. That Network for Good came through again. United Way, and the general donations that you see, you're going to see it leave. It was an error. We had someone contribute to the library, but it was supposed to go to the Friends, and they didn't indicate it on the check. So I'm going to have to bring that out in February and send it over to the Friends. It's in memory of Anita Wilson. They have a fund for her. So that got clarified, and I will take care of it this week. On the expenses side, we had a minimal amount of expenses that came out. So our balance was 18,806.80. In the money market, hasn't changed much. We had a little bit of interest on the Santander money market, which is restricted funds. The Sleva family donated their annual donation and has increased the fund by $1,000. So the balance is now $8,998.30 in the money that I can, that is in Santander that is restricted. Everything as of the 3rd was current. The 1099s, the accountant, I'd gotten the information to the accountant, and that has been filed. Gail, did you get your 1099 in the mail?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Thank you very much.
Okay, it went out by U.S. Postal Service, and the Postal Service has had some issues lately, so I just wanted to double check. But that's all on file. We're all set. We're electronically filed with the government, so that's all done. The same note about Dean reviewing for our money market fund to see if there's something out there, but I have not heard back anything. Neil may be able to speak to that better. And I do have the breakdown of the restricted and unrestricted as of January 31st. Other than that, that's all there is on treasurer.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions for Leanne? It's a good report when there's no questions. All right, thank you, Leanne. We'll move along to the library director's report. Lisa Maston, please.
Hello. We have, I'll talk about stuff that's going on, and then I'll mention what happened with the roof leak. We've been really busy. Staff has been busy with our Lucy to Go service. The last few days, we had like over 125 pickups, which typically if you look in the morning, we have maybe 15, possibly 20 scheduled. So the rest of them are scheduled same day. So, and many times you're pulling the items that they're requesting too. So it's keeping us hopping. People are really pleased that they can pick up same day. We try to pull the holds at least 3 times a day so people get notified if they have something on reserve that's come in. So they're happy about that too, that we're, more responsive that way. We are getting, the delivery system is working. So we are getting items from other libraries, and that's helping our patrons as well. So that's all going pretty smoothly. The winter reading programs for the teens and actually, as of today, all of them kicked off. The teen kicked off on February 1st. The adult was February 4th, and children's kicked off today. And children's is going to be an activity sheet that they have to do. And a lot of it's reading so many minutes a day. And then they're eligible for prizes when they hit certain number of days. The teens, they will read books, and then they do, I think it's like a review. In every review they do about a book, they get a ticket for a prize. And then the adults, any book they read, they can get tickets for as many books as they read that week. And every week we have a drawing on Friday at noon. And the adult winter reading program is mine. We had 145 people sign up the first day, which I thought I was pretty pleased with. We're up to about 190 right now. So people are doing it. They're happy to have something to do, and they're checking out our books. So that's all good. Couple things that are, the grab and goes are really popular with all ages. Adults they're starting to get into it more. We have the coloring pages. We have a redefined reads coming up. And something new that we're going to add as of March is puzzles to go. So twice a month, people can check, they're not checking out. They can pick up like a packet of puzzles that they can do at home with the answer sheets. We're going to print them out, and they can pick them up and have something fun to do. So that's another thing we're offering. We have Michelle Royer is working on offering, we're trying to come up with, it's not really homebound. Homebound is, we're trying to come up with a delivery system that we can do for people that really can't get to the library. It's not just the homebound where, we used to have 6 or 8 people that we would do at a time that were really, family members would contact us, and we would deliver the books with volunteers. And we're trying to expand it more because of COVID. Some people don't want to go out. They don't want to do that. So we're trying to come up with a plan where we can actually deliver some more items to people. We have some volunteers that have offered to step up and help us with that. Some are in the Friends, some are in other organizations. So we're working on the fine details of that. So probably next month we'll be doing it because it's in our March newsletter. We better be doing it. And we'll have a better idea of exactly how we're going to do it. But I think people will be happy about that too, because there are people that are avid readers. And like, I know there are people that we used to see all the time that haven't come to the library, and they probably aren't comfortable coming or even coming for the curbside. So this is a way maybe for us to get some materials to them as well. I've been working with Diane Stone and Carol Lebrecht. Diane Stone from the Senior Center, Carol Lebrecht from Human Services. We're going to be putting together a newsletter for seniors that's going to be townwide mailing. And it's going to have information. It's really about getting information to them that they might need about, being safe, about COVID, about staying engaged, staying connected, and staying healthy. So we're putting together this, we're working together as a group, and we're going to be putting together a newsletter that will be mailed out to the residents. We're looking for 65 or older who live in town. So that's something that I'm working on with them. And then the final thing was at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning, I got a phone call that 2 of our ceiling tiles had collapsed in the fiction section of the adult area downstairs. So I went in and there must have been I don't know, we have our maintenance person, Dave, does walk around the building. He walks around the building several, like 2 or 3 times a week, just to look up at the ceiling because of the different leaks. And plus, the time of year, he said he didn't remember seeing this, but anyway, it was, something was dripping, because when the tile, you can see it dripping when I got there, but it's completely saturated the ceiling tile, and it just let loose. And there was all this piping and whatever above it. So I called Paul Boutot, who sent him one of his guys from facilities who helped clean it up. And we put tarps over the stacks, and they were in this morning, again, looking at it. I did check it yesterday, and it seemed like it was drying out some, which was good. But they are going to have a roofer look at it to see possibly what's causing they're not really sure exactly what's causing the leak. And there's a lot of duct work there, so you know the water can run, and so they're trying to see where it started. So that's kind of where we are with that. Luckily, we didn't lose any books, but we're lucky that maybe it happened when staff were working and maybe not on Sunday where it would have continued to drip. So anyway, that was the fun on Saturday morning. So and that's it. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Lisa. I saw Leanne's hand up. Leanne?
I just had a question regarding your dropping off or delivery service, so to speak, beyond the homebound. You said you have friends, volunteers, and you have others. Don't forget about this organization. So if you're putting together a schedule, maybe you could include us.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I think we just want to figure out how we're gonna do it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Once you put it together, put the word out, because I think a few of us, or at least I know myself, I would be willing to help if I can.
Sure, that sounds good. Yep, I would be happy to.
I see Anna's hand up.
Hi. Lisa, I have a question about the roof leak. This leak is different than the leak that was reported in a skylight.
Yes,
Is that right?
yes. We had a leak in the stacks two aisles over. That was the one in October. And this one was it was right near a I think that one of the big pipes that was running in the ceiling runs to a roof drain. But it's a different area than the skylights, yes.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Yep.
And I would be willing to help make a delivery or two as well.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Does anyone else have questions for Lisa on her report? This is where I turn into an auctioneer, going once, going twice. Okay, thank you, Lisa. Nice report, even though we have a big sigh every time we hear about a leak, another leak, a new leak. It's tough to listen to that, but at least it sounds like none of the collection was destroyed this time around, so that's good. Assistant Director's report, Karen Benner. Karen?
Hi. Just a follow-up on last month with the open positions that we have, the two part-time positions and the sub positions. We held testing, well, virtually, we held testing last week. I think I had mentioned that we were going to try to do it through SurveyMonkey. And we did do that. We had in excess of 20 people testing. Let's see, I think it was Thursday and then Saturday morning. We wanted to give people, some options. We have the results back, and our next step is to review the test results and schedule some interviews, which I think we'll try to target for maybe next week. So things are moving along there. I've been spending or continue to spend a good portion of my time these last couple of months training. We have the 2 new full-time staff members that we spoke about last month, the 2 part-time people that moved into the vacated full-time positions. So things are going well there. We're offering a joint virtual program series in March and April. It's a genealogy program series. And we're doing it in conjunction with Berlin, Wethersfield, and Rocky Hill. So it, we've been talking about collaboration and ways to save money and staff time and stuff. So I think we're pretty excited about this. It just is a nice collaboration with other towns. Let's see, the 150th anniversary, the library's participation in that, we have started having some communications with the committee. Lisa, myself, and Beth Mendelson in our children's department have been working on it. What they asked and what we have agreed to do is a story walk that will consist of a history of the library. We were a little bit ahead of the game in that Lisa and I had worked on pulling a lot of this information a few years ago, as we had a presentation at the Historical Society. So we do have a lot of the information already put together. We just have to kind of pull out some things and convert it into something that is visually really appealing and will look nice on the storyboards. And that's going to be the same location in Mill Pond Park that the children's department has been doing their story walks. And that's it. Oh, and also I should mention that the friends are also working with us to participate. They will have some role in this as well. I guess I'll let Sheila talk a little bit more about that. And that's all I have.
Okay, great. Anybody have questions for Karen? I have a question. It's probably for Karen and Lisa. How is staff able to handle the increased draw? We're still working, half staff on alternate days, correct? With all these extra Boosie to Go things and everything else, and manning all the extra phone calls, and now with the winter reading program, how's that working out?
I mean, I think it's working out well, don't you, Lisa? I mean, people are working hard.
I think people are doing a good job. They're doing a really good job, and everybody is pitching in at the department that needs the help the most. I mean, sometimes children's will work on the reference desk if we need a third person. Same with someone from CERC, and we'll also pitch in to help at CERC if they start to need help with deliveries out to the table and stuff. Some days it's challenging if anybody calls in sick, or you have that kind of stuff. It can be a little challenging because you are down, and it's not like you can call somebody. You have to be careful who you call in. They have to be on the right team. Right. So, but I will say the staff's done a wonderful job. Really, kind of stepping up and handling it, and still continuing to try to offer services, programming, things like that, plus do our other work as well. So they're doing a good job. I really commend them. So
good. I've noticed how much stuff is going on in all of your reports in terms of answering phone calls and gathering materials and planning for the different things that are coming on. So even though it may appear that there's not much going on because the library doors are not open, it certainly seems like we're continuing with the full service. And I was just concerned knowing that you are doing the teaming environment, how that was working out for you. So as always, the library staff is coming forward, so that's great and we appreciate it. I just wanted to know the reality of the logistics. So thank you both. Does anybody else have questions for Karen? Okay. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate your report. Moving on to Friends of the Library. Sheila?
Well, we're, as Karen said, we're thinking about what we can do with the anniversary and working with them. That's on our agenda for our meeting Wednesday night. Now that we can get into the basement, we've been down there a few times. We've gotten that sort of sorted out, looking to sort out what we have in the shed and then move on to the containers so we can make bags, because we are still trying to make bags up for people with their choices of authors or genres or something like that. So that seems to be going pretty well. Everybody's enjoying being able to get back together and work on the sorting and getting that stuff going. So that's where we stand right now, continuing with Karma's Closet. That seems, again, to be going well, selling the books and through the Facebook that she does. That's also going well and is very popular.
Super, super. And go ahead, Leanne, I can see your hand up.
I just have a question of Sheila. Did you track down that check?
I am still trying to track it down from Brian. And I talked to Kim and Terry. I'll see them both this week. So I'm going to try to track it down.
Okay.
I will get back to you.
We are getting close to the point where I'm going to have to issue another one.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to try to get you an answer by Wednesday night.
Super. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Neil?
Go ahead, Neil.
The friends are meeting this Wednesday, I believe you said.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess either Anna or myself will attend to represent the board.
Okay.
That's it.
And actually, I see you, Laurel. Just let me mention one thing, and I'll come to you. So we have Anna and Neil who have been attending the Friends meetings. And in years past, we've had several board members rotate through for the Friends meeting. So if anyone else is interested, I've been to those meetings. They're well run, and they seem to go much quicker than my meeting. So, you know, it's a good meeting to attend. And if anybody else is interested in attending on occasion or anything else, I'd love to get you into rotation, especially if you're somewhat new to the Board of Trustees and the Friends. It's a good way to kind of figure out how these two volunteer organizations work together and separately to support the library. So anybody who would at all be interested, it can be an occasional meeting, it could be on a list as a backup to attend the meetings. That would be great. And Sheila, your meetings are on Wednesdays, the second Wednesday? Yeah, the second Wednesday of the month. Laurel, you had your hand up earlier. Take yourself off mute, please. Laurel, you're on mute.
Sorry.
There
I
you go.
thought I had unmuted myself. I wanted to commend the Friends on how creative they've been during this pandemic with doing their fundraising with book sales by targeting different types of books and children's books. I just, you know, it's a very difficult situation and they certainly have made a lot out of it. So I commend them for that.
Thank you. I'll share that with them.
And I would be happy to attend a Friends meeting.
Super. Thanks, Laurel. We'll put you on the list and get you going for a rotation. And again, you know, sometimes our newest members are the quietest, but it's always helpful if you see the organization from different viewpoints. So it's not a monthly commitment. It's an every once in a while. So as that goes through. Any other questions or thoughts for Sheila and the Friends group?
I'm happy to join the list of fill-ins if you need them for the Friends meeting.
Super. Thank you, Lisa Jones. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Sheila. We'll move on to committee reports. Budget report with Maureen.
Hi.
Maureen Lyons.
We had our budget meeting with Keith and company and staff and Diane and Leanne and me. Leanne, you were there, right? This was like so many years ago already. Anyway, nothing new. The budget, you know, that Lisa and her staff worked on so hard is what's being presented. The increases were in personnel, obviously, and no surprises, at least not with that group. You know, it still has to go before Keith has to present his entire budget to the council. So that's where we stand. Nothing changed. And Lisa can provide more detail or anything that may have happened since then. Lisa Maston.
I guess I would just add that we did have some personnel increases, but not number of personnel, but the dollar amount. But overall, we had a negative 6.52% budget because 2 of the full-time positions are in the budget, but they're going to be unfunded. So we had a negative budget. I mean, and really the increases that we did have, some of them are contractual. They're with the union, the full-time union people. So that's completely out of our control. But the other increases, we tried to offset them with, you know, decreases and other things elsewhere in the budget. And then one of the good things is our assessment with our consortium that we're part of, Library Connection. We actually had a decrease this year because we're working hard as a group of 30 libraries to reduce costs or to find cost savings without reducing service. So that was a good thing this year for us as well. But, you know, the budget, as Maureen said, it's like pretty much a status quo budget as far as any other item, except we had some personnel changes, but it was a negative budget for us. That's it.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, were Sunday hours still in that budget?
As of right now, they are.
Yep.
But who knows what's going. Yeah, they are. Diane, still in the budget. Yep.
So that's an
That's,
exciting idea.
Yeah, it's exciting because it was approached actually by Keith last year or the year before even. So, it's something, there's no promises or anything, but it's on the radar. It's not just us that are interested.
That recognize the need.
Mm.
Great. No, it was a very congenial meeting and things moved along smoothly, so that was great. And kudos to the staff. I know it was Jen's first time working on the overall budget along with Lisa and Karen, and I think you all did a great job, so kudos.
Agreed.
Yes.
Any questions for folks on budget?
Diane, you mentioned
Yes,
Jen. I think she's a great asset. And I'm very pleased that she stepped into that position. I think she's filling that Lynn gap quite nicely and proficiently.
Very much so. Okay, any other questions or comments on budget? All right, let's move on to PEP, Planning, Evaluation, and Policy with Laurel Goodgen.
Yes, thank you. You all received again the proposed job description for the library board. And I included this time an information sheet, background information to explain why this is even being presented to you. And in addition to that, I also sent out this wonderful roles and responsibilities guidelines that the state library had put together several years ago, actually. It's also a national document. And I think it's a very helpful document for people coming new to the board because just as Diane was talking about the difference between the library board and the Friends of the Library, this delineates the difference and also very helpful, also delineates the responsibilities of the library director. And sometimes in some libraries that gets a little fuzzy, all these three responsibilities. So I think this is an essential document to keep on hand, but it explains one of the documents that the job description was pulled from. Also, the ACLB manual that you've been receiving also lists many of the responsibilities of library boards. So those are the background documents for this proposed job description. And I would like to propose that this be approved by the library board. It would be very useful to us when we're recruiting new members to have this document.
And would we add this to the handbook?
Definitely.
The trustee handbook?
Yes.
Okay. So let's open this up for discussion. Anyone have questions, points, clarifications?
This is Maureen. I think, you mentioned, Laurel, that it's a great tool for new members, but I think it's wonderful for the existing members. I think we all know what we do and what we're supposed to do, but it's good to see it on paper, so to speak. It's, and there's some stuff in here that perhaps we don't think about on a, regular basis. I think it's a great document. I think it's good for the existing members. I would encourage my colleagues to pay attention to it. And it's certainly a great tool for new members. And I thank you for being so diligent and tenacious and gathering this information and pulling it together and presenting it to us in a very concise way.
Thank you, Maureen.
You're welcome. Thank
Neil,
you.
I see your hand up. Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, I just want to kind of follow along with what Maureen just said. This is a nice document because what it does, it codifies everything the board does, puts it in writing. Very nice document.
Thank you, Neil.
Diane, I have a question.
Go ahead, Anna.
So I'm just wondering, are we just talking about the one document with the delineation of the 3 entities, or we also talking about the background information on the job description?
I thought we were talking about the job description.
Ah, okay. I had provided some comment the last time around.
Right, I thought I incorporated those. Did I fail to do that?
I'm not sure because did I mail it? I can't even remember if I mailed it to you. I'm sorry. I should have.
No,
probably-
I didn't get a mailing on this. I did remember comments from the last board meeting, which I tried to incorporate, like, there was one about joining the Friends of the Library and about making an adequate donation.
Like number 14, attend Library Association conferences and workshops for library trustees. You know, that reading that statement makes it sound like it's a requirement, and I'm not saying that it's not, but it's
okay.
A little bit more flexibility when appropriate.
Okay.
You know.
Or maybe are encouraged to.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Library board members are encouraged to attend. Would that
Yeah.
be satisfactory?
That works for me.
Yeah.
And maybe we can
Thank
use
you.
the word encourage on number 11 too. Trustees are encouraged to be a member.
Okay, but I've always felt that if you're a member of the library board, you really ought to be a member of the Friends of the Library. They're working their tails off to promote the library.
I don't disagree. Diane, I'm picking up music in the background. I don't know if anybody else hears it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
Yeah, it's coming through.
You know, this is Maureen again. The comment about joining the Friends. In the many years that I've been a member of the Board of Trustees, it was a given that you would join the Friends. They didn't tell you, you know, nobody is saying you have to contribute hundreds of dollars or $10, but at whatever level you are comfortable, I think it should almost be a requirement.
That's what
I
it
don't
is
know that.
of this.
Yeah, I don't know that we can actually make this a requirement. This is Diane speaking. I think strongly encouraged to become an official member of the Friends.
Okay. Would that language be?
I'd be fine with that.
Strongly encouraged. Okay. Thank you. I was always shocked to find library board members that weren't members of the Friends of the Library. I mean, to me, they go hand in hand.
They do. And I think by having this here, it makes that connection for folks that they are 2 different entities and we should try to support each other and support them both. But it can be a little off-putting if people are told, okay, you're going to join us and, you know, we're going to get the efforts of your work. And oh, by the way, you're also going to join this organization at some cash value, you know, up to you. But so I think we certainly want to encourage people. I don't know that we can make it mandatory.
Okay.
As that goes through.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll agree to the strongly encourage, but I know that over the years, we've at almost every meeting or membership drives anyway, it was always mentioned.
There are other suggestions?
I think it looks good.
This is Lisa Jones.
What
Yeah,
about?
it's a good document, Laurel, again, for a newer member. I know you guys are going to shoot me by the time that I say that I'm a newer member still. I know how long do I get to keep that status? But I think it was very helpful for me. I was interested in the Association of Connecticut Library Boards and joining that association. That is, that makes total sense to me to do that as part of being part of the board. And so maybe just, I know we're just approving the wording here, but is there some follow-up that we can have that would help ensure that we can, join that association?
We do belong as a board.
Go ahead, Leah. Yeah.
We do belong as a board. The documents come to the president when we get the mail, when we get the newsletters and things. They don't have a lot of mailings, but we do have a membership that we pay for every year.
I remember.
So I think
They haven't been as active as they have been in the past.
Right.
And when we used to meet in person, we would have paper copies of the documents and we would distribute them to the board members.
Right, and I think you can go online and see what's happening with the different, they used to have seminars and things that would come up, and maybe it was something that was going on in our board at the time, or something that we knew we were going to start soon or figure out. And it's a great way to network with others, whether they be, other library directors and personnel from different libraries, other board members to, how do they do it? How do they do it in Stonington? How do they do it in Chicago? You can get a lot of information when they have the guest speakers coming out from different areas. So I have not been getting any of those letters, and I also have been remiss that I have not gone online to check things out. But I'm so Lisa, thank you for, Lisa Jones, thank you for speaking up as a new member. And I might just ask Beth and Christine as some other newer members, does this help clarify things? Is it helpful? Is it clear?
So Beth Livingston here. Hi. My camera seems to not be working tonight. So
that's all right.
I am here. Yeah, definitely helpful. Definitely helpful. How's that? I'll keep it short.
Okay. All right.
If we, we're so used to virtual meetings, if we ever get back to a pre-COVID life, the conferences and meetings in person were always very interesting because you did get to interact with other library folks, whether it was staff or friends or board members, and then speakers came from all the different areas and not just in Connecticut necessarily. And it was always very exciting when somebody that we knew was speaking from our library or former, colleagues. Maybe someday.
So this is Anna, and I just happened to look it up on my iPad. And the Connecticut Library Association is having their 2021 conference on May 10th to 14th. It's being held virtually. The program list is not out yet because they are currently accepting program submissions, topics. So
yeah. Usually ACLB has a presentation at each Connecticut Library Association annual meeting, and they're quite good. I used to attend them even if I wasn't a board member because they were very informative, and they're often aimed at board members and library directors. Too bad it has to be virtual, but of course that's the way things are today.
That's right.
Thank you, Anna.
Okay, any other discussion or questions about the proposed job description for the library board as a whole, individual board members?
My question is, Can we make a proposal to accept this as amended, as discussed here, or does it just have to go to the next meeting?
I believe we could make a proposal as amended. The amendments are more semantics. You know, it's just a clarification of a statement, one or two, if the rest of the group is comfortable with that.
Well, then I will make the motion that we accept the job description for the Lucy Robin Wells Library Board as proposed and amended.
I'll second it. It's Anna.
How about library board and individual board members, right? Because it's got both responsibilities there.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I was reading the title from the sheet there. Okay.
Okay, any further discussion or questions? Hearing none. All right, all those in favor of accepting the description as clarified?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Let me call you back. I'm in a meeting with the library board.
Any opposed?
I don't think so.
No. All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laurel. I know a lot of work went into that. Next
Thank you
is
to the PEP committee.
yeah, great. Next is a discussion of Chapter 8, Advocacy of the ACLB Manual.
Yes, this is one of the shortest chapters in the manual, and it also echoes what the communication committee has been doing. So I think that it's a good support to what the communication committee has been doing. Lisa, would you want to add anything to that?
No, I agree with you 100%. I think it is directionally, we're directionally correct. Boy, thank goodness. And yeah, I like the fact that I could go through and read it and see that we were able to kind of pick up on some of the key elements of it. So yes.
I especially like the fact that it talks about identifying different members of the community, you know, different sections of the community to advocate to, and that's exactly what the communication committee has been doing.
Super. Does anyone else have any questions regarding Chapter 8? Suggestions, proposals?
And this chapter is being mailed to you. It's just the Postal Service is very slow these days. So you will know that you are getting Chapter 7 and Chapter 8, and then at some point in the future, we will mail you the other chapters. I just got 3 copies of New Yorker magazine, which comes out every week. I got them all one day.
I got a Christmas flyer from Stu Leonard's.
Maybe it's
For
early.
next year.
No rain checks, Maureen, no rain checks.
Oh my goodness. I saw holiday special fillets, and I said,
yeah.
What? And I wasn't
I feel so
thinking, I
sorry
said,
for
what
them.
holiday? What am I missing?
It's just early. That's all.
Yeah, I guess.
Crazy.
Well, maybe
All right.
maybe they're sending it early for 2021. I have a question on the PEP listing items that we're reviewing. Are we not reviewing the library director's evaluation? That's not listed here. And Lisa Jones had sent it out. And I don't see it anywhere else on the agenda.
That's true. I don't see it on the agenda. I think I missed it.
Yeah, so I did receive feedback from several people. In the summary of the director evaluation, the feedback, either I've talked to you in person or gotten verbal or gotten written feedback. And the feedback really was, I'm reading my notes here, focused on the ability to answer only line items that the reviewer is comfortable or knowledgeable in. So if you don't have the appropriate knowledge or information related to that line item or that topic, then it would be virtually impossible for you to give a fair and valid assessment of the library director at that point in time. So the idea was that we would use an NA for the, not applicable, and that the scoring would be adjusted appropriately. And I'm not so sure that the scoring would make that much difference anyway. So that was sort of an add-on. If you noticed, there was a score for the numeric value that you provided for each line item. It's just a way to sort of get a general sense about where the evaluation is. But that can be certainly modified so that it's kind of weighted appropriately. There needs to be some discussion about the weighting of the director evaluation. In other words, in some of those topics, for instance, is customer or patron community relationships more important than, say, legal? I'm just making this up. Legal responsibility. So if we need to think about that, then that could be weighted more heavily. And if it's so, I think there needs to be further discussion. I got responses from about 5 people, so I wanted to make sure that I was given the opportunity today to ask if there were any further questions for anyone. If you want to just talk to me directly, that's fine, or send me an email. But what I'm looking for is, and if this wasn't clear last month, I apologize, is a written document, the document that I sent out, written with feedback on the content of the form, so how to use it, and then the content of it. And then if you're willing at this point to start to do a director evaluation, and then return it back to me. So those are the 2 items. One is feedback on the form itself, how to use it, and it's all good. But right now we're going to go with the form as it is based on those 2 outlying areas. And then so feedback on the form and then actually filling it out for Lisa. I think there's probably one more thing that we need to talk about as a group, and that is whether a new board member could just opt out entirely. And that's probably just open for discussion.
That's good.
Go ahead, Leanne, I see your hand up.
I do think that it would be very difficult, and newer members, you can speak to this, but I'm thinking back to the days when I first joined the board. I don't know that I would have been knowledgeable enough to evaluate someone, say, 6 months into the job of being a board member. So I don't know if we want to put a time period on that of having been on the board for at least 6 months before you participate in this, or something like that. I think once you're here for a year, depending upon how involved you become, you could be very knowledgeable on certain areas. So I don't want to keep somebody out of the process too long. But I also think that we should go forward with this, because we do need to at least let's utilize the form as it is. And I think what'll happen is that the bugs will show themselves as you get your responses, and then these things can be tweaked in the next version.
That's exactly right, Leanne. Perfectly said.
Diane?
Go ahead, Anna.
So I'm just wondering if, since Lisa's gotten feedback from 5 people, if she can incorporate that feedback into the current document and send out a revised document for us to actually do the evaluation on.
Sure, happy to do that. Yep.
Okay, Neil, you had a question?
Just one. As far as returning the document, Lisa Jones, would you like us to email it back to you?
That would be my preference, but if it needs to be mailed,
no, email is fine.
Print it out and mail it to me. That's fine too. I'm happy either way.
Okay. And as far as
email, but
okay. And as far as new members and they're being comfortable with filling out the form, I think we kind of leave it up to the member themselves. I mean, if they get it and say, well, not knowledgeable enough, just note that on the evaluation form and return it, rather than not allowing them to
Yeah, I agree with Neil because one of the line items on it is the did the library director reach out and to a new board member and do the introductions and the overview and the walkthrough and all that. So there is something there for a new member to answer.
Definitely.
Well, that's true. We could do it from day one, and NA can be 90% of the form if that's what applies.
That way everybody's given a chance to respond.
Right.
In their own
And
manner.
again, I think that, Leanne, I just want to tag on to what you said. I think just using the form and is really going to work the kinks out. So it may not be perfect this time around. Happy to revise it for our next go round, but it will be, I'll send out the new form with this week. And I was just going back to look at my notes to see about when I was asking for the evaluation. So I can, I'll send that out in the email too, when I revise the form.
Okay, Lisa, and I think you're looking to get this back relatively quickly so that we can combine them and get it over to Keith on a timely basis for when he's doing his overall evaluation. So please, when it comes in, take a look at it, put some time to thinking about it and return it. And my preference for new board members is that they do fill it out to the best of their ability. And it is absolutely possible that there's some, not applicable or, I don't feel experienced enough to rate this or whatever you want to say, however it goes through. But it will also give board members an idea of what to do. And I know myself, if you're like, oh, here, take a look at this, you don't have to fill it out. I don't read it anywhere near as closely as I do when, I've been given the responsibility to try to fill it out and answer the questions to the best of my ability. So I think if we have the understanding that there will be things that they will not have come across as new members, but I do think that they need to fill it out, and it's perfectly fine for a new member to say, I haven't experienced this yet, or, I don't feel qualified to rate this yet. But I think folks have to know what to look for as you go forward in the meetings, right? Just because next year that evaluation is going to come out again. So I like the idea that everybody would fill it out. Certainly, you fill it out honestly. You don't fill out things that you don't know, understand, or have had an opportunity to work with yet. So Lisa Jones, if you can fill that, incorporate some of those changes and then send the timing out for folks. And then if everybody can, keep your eye on the email, fill it out, and then send it back in a timely manner, that would be greatly appreciated.
We're right in the timeframes. I'm looking at it right now. We're right in the timeframes. I think that, so if I get it out in the next few days, then we should be good to go. And the date is 3/7 to have it back to me. So that's, I think, plenty of time for everyone.
Super. Thank you, Lisa. I know this is a lot of work, and you've taken some of our older forms and made a lot of sense out of them. So I appreciate that. Does anybody else have questions or something that they want to say? Laurel, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I just want to say, as a former library director, I really think it's an outstanding form, and it's better than anything I encountered as a library director, which usually was just a narrative report. This is much more detailed. Also, I would appreciate the ability to make comments at the end of each section, which I'm intending to do. I've already filled it out, but I want to go back and do the comments. If you could let people know that that's appropriate for them to make, maybe.
I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's spelled out in the.
Laurel, no, I agree with Laurel. There should be. I think it would be beneficial to have an area to write a line or two. Especially like something like this year, it's been exceptional.
Yeah.
And I mean, and because of COVID, I mean, it could have skewed some of the responses.
Right.
I just
see
think that
Christine's hands up. Yep, I agree. Christine?
That is already created on the form.
Yeah, it's at the bottom.
It's on the
Oh,
bottom
okay,
of
thank
each
you.
section.
Yeah.
Following each section, there's a spot for you to give comments.
Great.
Right, you may have missed it because there's not a box around it. It's just the line underneath the boxes. It says comments, Board of Trustees on, the topic. So freeform, if you've printed it out, it didn't print out in a box. So you may have
My
missed that. Thank you,
apologies.
Christine.
Thank you.
Same
No
here.
problem.
Definitely
Thank you,
missed it.
Christine, for pointing that out. All right, any other questions or comments on the evaluation? Okay, so check your emails for the most updated copy, and then please turn around and get that back to Lisa Jones for compiling. All right, looking at the screen, I don't see any questions. Moving on, we'll move on to investment with Neil.
Yes. I mailed out our January report earlier today. And you note we had a little bit of a down month. We were down $2,812.08. So as of January 31st, 21, our portfolio has a value of $739,118.24 and $487,317.05 are restricted, and which leaves about $251,801.19 is unrestricted. So about 65% of our portfolio is restricted. And Leanne mentioned about the money market fund that Dean was looking to possibly move into another fund. I haven't heard anything from Dean on that, but I'll call him this week and touch base with him and see what's going on with that. And that's my report.
Thank you, Neil. Any questions for Neil? I don't see any. Thank you, Neil. We'll move on. Next up is House Report with Laurel Goodgen.
Yes, I sent out an updated report on the walkthrough, which Jennifer sent to me as a result of a question Diane had asked me. So thank you, Diane. So as Diane commented earlier to me today, the staff is doing a really good job on following up with these things, because I certainly haven't been in the building since the walkthrough in November, but the staff is doing a terrific job of addressing a lot of the deficits that were discovered when we had the walkthrough. And it certainly was a short list this year compared to previous years. So thank you to the staff, Lisa.
You're welcome, Laurel. Thank you.
So I have one question. I noticed that the carpet tiles were moved to be stored in the attic, and I think that was done in November. That didn't happen to be the attic that had a leak in it in December, was it?
Well, they're up there, but they're not in the same area.
Okay, so they're dry. They
Yep.
survived.
Yeah, they
Okay,
weren't.
good.
They weren't affected at all, Diane.
Good. And I'm just getting nervous of the collateral damage as we plug the leaks as we go through. So it looks like just about everything that could be done has been done, except for those things that we're waiting for warmer weather with. I do hope that we get that water filling station. I don't think the old-fashioned drinking faucet is anything that we should be having in a public building anymore. I really think that we should have a way for folks to fill their own cups and glasses. So I'm hoping that's the second item, the drinking fountain, that can be used, that can be replaced or updated by facility. So that would be good. Anybody else have questions on facilities? In the house, rather? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to facility and site with Maureen.
Yes, and we've had previous discussions about the drawings, the signed drawings for the parking lot. We had some issue. We had thought it was a done deal, and then apparently we had to get some, there was some issue with the architect, and at any rate, and Diane has really been handling this, but we spoke, we got advice from Gary Furstenberg and from the town, other town folk, and from James, our town clerk. And Diane ran it past Peter Alter, the lawyer that we had hired to handle our land issues. And he said everything was appropriate. So as of last week, we have signed, sealed, delivered, stored drawings so that in 20 years, if somebody is looking to see what happened, these documents will be available and appropriate. They're on file with the town. We have copies for ourselves. I believe Leanne was going to put one in the safe deposit box.
I have to get them from the library. I'm assuming there's an original signed amendment and the drawings for me there. I haven't gone in since this happened, so.
So, you know, everything should be in order, should anybody ever question it today or tomorrow. And Diane was really very diligent in working with the town to get this information. Diane, you can explain what happened with the architect and the engineering with the original drawings.
So the original drawings were done by the architect and they were approved as part of the original amendment. And then when the original contractor left and the town took over doing some of the work, and then when we went to town planning and zoning, all of those drawings changed. So we made changes to the drawings, but not under the original architect's name. So there was a little bit of confusion in terms of how we would go about having a legal document to sign and put in there. So Gary revised the drawings and he put his professional engineering stamp on them, and they were accepted in the town clerk's office. And here we are finally with a beautiful parking lot and all the appropriate paperwork that we could ever wish for. So that's a long time in coming, but it looks good and we're moving forward. So we're all very grateful for that.
Yeah, I think once I put this amendment into the safety deposit box, I think we're gonna have to get a bigger one if we do anything else.
Well, I think you're right, because these are large plans, and you know, my understanding is that we have the smallest safety deposit box.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be able to put the amendment in, and I think we might have to store the drawing somewhere on site.
Maybe we can get a reduced copy of the drawing printed off just to refer to it and say, you know, full scale is on site, you know, in the town and someplace else.
Yeah, I'll check it.
But that might be something that we want to look into because we don't have any storage area for the board of directors per se in the actual library. So I don't know how that works, but there are important documents that need to be handed on. So
well, that is one of, I know storage is an issue, and I certainly don't want to take anything away from what staff is trying to do. I know Friends is working in corners and everything else, but there is a certain amount of, you know, I call it the bus factor, like as in if I'm hit by one. My children know what boxes are all the library treasury stuff, and some of it probably shouldn't be in my basement.
Thanksgiving dinner must be fascinating at your house. When I get hit by a box 1 through 4 go to the library, box 5 through 6 go to the church. All right. Thank you. Any other questions on facility and site?
Just to Leanne's point, we've had this discussion for years now about storage for board documents, etc. And, you know, we even talked just a little file cabinet, but as we all know, space. So it is something to think about. And you're right, Leanne. We trust you implicitly, but you shouldn't have to have all this stuff in your basement.
Well, it's not that. It's just, I mean, I know we're a volunteer group, but we are a corporation. Our paper shouldn't be in people's different basements or whatever.
Right. Or the trunk of your car, as I've had things.
But again, we do what we have to do. I don't think I would rather right now that the papers be in my basement than the library attic.
Or under a skylight.
Okay. Any other comments?
Laurel's got her hand up.
Laurel?
Would it be possible to get space in the town vault?
I was just going to mention that.
James, hello.
Hello. How much, what amount of records are we talking about, Leanne?
Oh, I have 3
Years.
boxes of treasurer's records that I don't go into. I have 2 that are working files. When I say that, they're, yay big, deep as a file cabinet, file folder, and
So,
just as
standard
large.
anchor box, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean they're records that need to be
Archive boxes.
but they're accounting records.
Right.
I was ranting about that all the years that I was treasurer. Nothing ever happened.
I mean, we have them. I purge things as we can get rid of them, but there's a lot of things we can't get rid of, and we have to keep ad infinitum.
Well, I will say I do have a caged area, so it keeps it away from the public. We can look at storing them there for you. That way, you need access to them.
Okay, that would be great.
Believe me, I do have the space because we did a lot of rearranging in the newest vault, and we actually brought in records that weren't in there before, and we still have additional space. So,
all right, let me go
get together and talk about it and see what you've got.
Super, thank you, James.
My pleasure.
Thanks,
Thank you.
James.
That would be excellent. Phew, that's good. Moving on, fund development, Anna Eddy.
Hi. So I'll mention the Legacy Society stuff first. I had a phone call meeting with Lisa Maston, and we talked about updating the website to incorporate that Network for Good link for the online donations for patrons and others. I'll take money from anybody. So I know Elisa's working on that intermittently, and she's got a lot on her plate right now. So eventually that will be updated, and she has a goal to make it look more interesting, because right now those pages are kind of flat. It's just basically all words. So she has a vision to incorporate some images. I sent out a report earlier today on the Dining Partner Program, and it's not technically fund development, but in a way it is, because it's nurturing partnerships in the community. And so unless anybody has any questions, I don't think I have to read it all, except that, we have fewer partners and donors than last year, but it's still respectable.
Still early too.
Sorry?
Still early too.
Well, no, I mean, it would have been, if Winterfest was still going on, it would have been already launched a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay. No, I'm saying 24 is a good number.
Yes, I agree. Sheila, from the Friends, do you have anything to add to that? All right.
No, not at this point.
Okay.
Pauline, I saw your hand up.
Did you hear that Wings Over Newington is leaving?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they said they didn't get enough traffic from Newington residents. They're moving to East Street in New Britain.
Oh. So I guess there'll be a no.
Yeah.
Well, if they want to keep Newington business, it's close enough, people go over there.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, so those were those 2 things. And then what else did I send out today? I can't even remember. I sent out 2 reports. Okay. I'm sorry, I've spaced out. I had dental work done this morning. This is too much information. So my head's not in the right place today. What other report did I send out?
I think we're good.
There was one other report I sent. Hold on.
You made a comment about the 24th versus the 25th on the race, and the other thing was the dining partners.
There you go. Yeah, so I'm all,
Right.
so I'm all set with the Legacy Society stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. And nominations, Maureen, I assume there's no report at that time of the year?
You are correct.
All right, thank you. And communications, Lisa Jones.
There's just there's three things that actually I wanted to bring up today, and one of them is tailing on to what we talked about earlier that Dave had brought up, and that was using that baseline key message that was developed for last month. So it was the document that we distributed last month relating to the pre and post COVID and the handling of those kinds of activities within the library. And then the communications committee started to talk about, well, it's great that we have this message. How do we execute on it? How do we get it out into the world that we need it to? So we talked about, again, that's how the conversation with Dave and Chris Miner came up. How do we talk to the different constituents that that would be impacted by this? So Newington Chamber of Commerce, unfortunately, I missed the last meeting for the Chamber of Commerce due to some COVID related kid stuff. So I had to miss that. And but I plan to be at their next meeting. So that will be the business community. So that's the town hall, or the town council, I should say, business community, and then is the patrons. So we started to break down the different categories of patrons and how do we address some of those patrons. So it's our friends. How could we use, what's the communication vehicle that we could work with the friends on? Grab and go, race participants, and I need to sync up with you on race and race sponsors. Residents, how do we maybe potentially hook up with NCTV? Parents, area businesses, seniors, and human services, just as a way to sort of start to brainstorm around how do we get this information out. So that's one component of it. The next would be what's our next message? So we talked, gave you some information last month about the types of messaging that we could start on. So we're going to start to brainstorm at our next communications meeting to support what's next. How do we continue to follow on while the execution of the initial message was going? So that's that. And then lastly, the mission statement was tweaking the mission statement, and we have to revisit that at our next meeting. And I thought we would be able to have it for this board meeting, but we just didn't get to it. So we will have it for our next board meeting. That's it.
Very good. Any questions for Lisa Jones? No? Dave, would now be a good time to talk about how they communicate with the council?
I guess it would. Chris may want to add something. As I said earlier, I have briefly talked to the town manager to let you know what generally your plan was for Chris and/or I to give a quarterly report. I think you need to define that because we are liaisons technically and not members of the board per se. And as I said, I have another meeting. I'm going to have to leave very soon to go to. Everybody does something on the same night. And at that meeting, I'll be able to talk to the mayor and move forward in terms of the process and feelings of council members on both sides of the aisle. So that's where we stand at the moment, unless you have questions for me or for Chris.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So I thought there were times when I listened in on the town council meetings that they asked for liaison reports or what's going on in the committees.
Right.
So
and
we were not looking for anything too serious, but to have updates. And if we had given you some talking points or some key points, would that be an appropriate venue? kind of where we're going. We're looking for your guidance, but that's what had led to that thought.
And important. I know in the past, I've done, sometimes other counselors have said too lengthy reports for the library over the years. And, but that is one place where specific things can be stated. And also counselors have gotten in the past written reports from the librarian, head librarian has sent to Keith, and he incorporates in a lengthy thing. And at times, Keith and his predecessors as town managers have reported things as well. So there are some things within the meetings that we can do, but if you want something that is lengthier or something that incorporates other things, as long as they're factual, I'm sure both of us would not object to doing that. It's not a lengthy process to request to have something put on the agenda, but it needs to go through a format that's been devised through the rules of the council, and sometimes it gets a little tricky in terms of what other things are on the agenda and providing enough time for others. As you may have seen some council meetings that have gone rather late, and others
10:59.
Really trying to balance it out, and then the budget's coming up. I'm sorry.
I said 10:59 p.m.
There you go. Sometimes in the past they've gone a lot longer than that.
Yeah. Neil? Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, I just have a question. What is this that we're talking about here? Quarterly report from the library board to the town council, or from the liaison to the library board? I'm really sure what we're talking about here.
So, yeah, you're breaking up, and Lisa Jones may want to comment on that. That I was confused with the two in terms of I got the impression she wanted us to present things that were like topics that were of importance. She wanted to make certain board members meant, and through the committee, through the town council meeting, it might get out to the public through that venue in terms of important things the library is doing that they may need to know or they may not know otherwise.
I think it was both, actually, Dave. It was one that the town council would know, as part of the town council and town, and then also, yes, as a venue for any community members that were there as well. And really, it was again, I think, Diane, you said the guidance, could use your guidance on what the message needs to be, but basically that the document that I sent out that last month, and I'm happy to send it again, that talked about what happened last year. And how we're responding to it now, we being Lisa and her crew, or Lisa Maston and her crew are responding to it now, is really important, because the feeling is that we're doing a lot of things for the community, and that's part of the mission of the library, and being able to report that and have people hear that and be aware. It's more of an awareness campaign. But you're right, factual information is important. And I think we are driving towards some statistics that we could probably use that will help to support the message. So but your point, Neil, is a good one, about what is the message and who is the communicator.
Well, I wasn't sure who was requesting what from who. That's what I wasn't sure of.
Yeah.
You're looking to have something presented to the town council from the library on a quarterly basis, as I understand it?
Right.
Okay, that's fine.
That's right.
Christine, you had something you wanted to say? Come off mute.
Mute.
Christine, you're still on mute. Christine? There you go.
Yeah, I just, I have a concern with the communications overlapping a bit, Lisa. I was assigned to call the senior center and talk to Diane, which I did. And in this conversation, she had said, oh, I just got off the phone with Lisa Maston. And basically everything I was going to talk to her about, Lisa had already just done. So I find that as duplicating what somebody else is already doing. So we have to be very careful about how we proceed.
Chris, you fell onto mute again. Chris, you're on mute again.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
I'm thinking that Lisa Maston should have some input in the communication committee going forward, because I don't want to be duplicating something that they're already doing from the library, that her and her staff are already doing. I don't want to duplicate what they're doing or provide the town council a duplicate of what they're getting from Lisa.
Right.
We have to tread light.
So I think my impression from sitting in on the meetings is what we wanted to get up to the town council. We know that they get a copy of the monthly report from the different department heads, but there could be some key highlights that we want to pull out. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the packet of information that town councilors have to read every week, every whatever. It's daunting, to say the very least. And of course, you're going to pay attention to the committees that you're on. But we were looking to have, again, we refer to them as elevator statements and some other things to maybe be able to call out on different times, not to make it laborious. Christine, to your point, we've highlighted several different areas, and maybe, we should coordinate through Lisa Maston as well to say, who should we talk to? How are we doing this? Because we don't want to overload all of our different constituents with the same message over and over and over again, right? That's like being a telemarketer, and people will tend to ignore you, and we don't want to do that. We just want those quick hits to be able to bring up as that goes forward. And I think that's what we were trying to do. Lisa Jones, Christine, Beth, and Pauline, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it was more of a quick hit highlight type of communication that we wanted to be able to bring up quarterly. Again, not to become tiresome, but to kind of bring some information to the forefront.
And Lisa and I are going to meet actually early this week, sometime this week. We're trying for Thursday morning. It may be bumped out, but we're trying for Thursday morning. So we both agreed that we needed to stay in sync, Christine. So that's definitely something that we can talk about. And we need to make sure that as the library board that we do stay in sync on communications, because the library does a lot of their own and we don't want to be repetitive. So yes, point well taken.
That was my point also. Repetition doesn't necessarily help to get the message across when counselors have heard from several different venues, various different things. But it is important for you to get important things out to the council they may not know of, or as a reminder without being overbearing. I'll stay to the end of this discussion, but I am way late going to another meeting, as I mentioned a little while ago. But
go ahead to your other meeting, Dave.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'd love to stay, but duty calls. Thank you.
Understood. Thanks, Dave.
Bye.
Thanks, Dave.
So it sounds like we've got some work to really make sure that the communications committee is getting a streamlined message, right? Some high points, and that we're coordinating with Lisa Maston when we reach out to the other departments, so that we are not becoming too repetitive or tiresome, because we don't want people to turn a deaf ear to the messages that we're trying to do. So I think those were all good points. But I still think that it's worth trying to get those quick hit statements or, kind of, did you know, focused out there, because there is a lot of information that people read, and it can be overwhelming. And, when I have to cut down to something, I cut down to the committees that I'm on. I'm imagining if I was a town councilor, I'd have to make sure that I knew what was going on with my committees. And while I might be interested in all the other committees there, I would hope that the other councilors might bring something up. So that's my thought, that we're going for the highlights. And we'll let the communications committee continue to work that out and refine it. Beth and Pauline, you're both on communications. Was there anything you wanted to add?
I don't think so. I think probably at the Newington Democratic Town Committee, which is a different subset of Newington residents. I'm usually at that committee meeting, and I'm going to talk to Lisa about what she would like me to talk about on the 22nd. That would.
Okay, Lisa Maston or Lisa Jones?
Oh, Lisa Jones. Sorry about that, Lisa Jones.
Thanks, Pauline.
Because we're going to be meeting on the 15th, right, Lisa? So that we'll coordinate that. But that's again another different subset, and word might get out about the word of mouth, from this subset to another group of people. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. I mean, this is all we can do right now. There are people that are not computer literate or just don't have access, and if you're home COVIDing, and I have been talking to a lot of people saying, "Oh, you're the first person I've talked to in several weeks because I refuse to go out." So yeah, I guess that we're just every committee that we're on in the town, put a little little bug in their ear saying, "Hey, did you hear that?"
Right.
If you're on a church council meeting or whatever else is going on around town. I know we do have liaisons with the Chamber of Commerce, but there's other committees that we might be overlapping.
Okay. Great. Anything else on communications at this point?
I have nothing else.
Thank you, Lisa. Chris Minor, are you still with us, or did you also have to leave for the other meeting?
I'm still here.
Okay. Any thoughts on town council or what's going on? Were we a little bit more clear in what we're attempting to do?
Yeah. I think it's a matter of you just want to have everybody informed as to what's going on and to have relative information out in the public. So I can certainly respect that, and we can try to make an effort to make sure that we cover that in our liaison reports.
Great, thanks. And we'll try to keep it, short and sweet and relevant, so that it's not yet another long report on a long evening. So that would be our goal.
Very well.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, any other questions or points for communications? I don't see any. Then we'll move on to old business. Newington Library 5K Challenge Race. Looks like our date is Sunday, October 3rd. That is a date that Platt Systems, our timer, can accommodate and support. So right now, that's the date for our 2021 5K race. I don't know if you folks saw some emails before. Anna, this was one of your emails that came out. Do we call this the 24th or the 25th race? In light of some of the information under COVID state laws and how you run a race, if we're still in phase 2 or 3 of COVID, there's no same day registration, there's no rewards ceremonies, and there's no refreshments. So with all of that in mind, we didn't have a race last year, so I would think that we would call this our 24th race. And I would think that the 2022 race would be our actual 25th race that's being run. And hopefully COVID is so far in the rearview mirror that we'll be able to do it up proud and have some time to plan and move forward. So that's my impression. I'm willing to go to the floor and hear from anyone else in terms of what's going on. But just realize that while we are planning for October 3rd, it's really all COVID related. It could be a non-issue, and that would be a lovely thing. Go ahead, Leanne. I see your hand up.
Assuming we have the race on October 3rd, I agree. I think it should be the 24th, so we can do the 25th upright.
Okay.
I agree.
Neil, you're in agreement? Okay. Anyone else?
I agree.
Thank you.
This is Maureen. I agree. It should be the 24th.
Okay, I see Anna stepped away. I'm hoping that she can hear us, but I'll make sure she's aware that we're going to count the way they taught us, and it will be the 24th race this year, and we'll all keep our fingers crossed that we'll have a race that's more traditional and not under any of the COVID restrictions that you hopefully saw in that email that I sent out.
We are fortunate in the sense that we're counting how many races, and we're not locked into a year like the 150th. I know the 150th in town, you've got a year that this is the year it's supposed to be celebrated. And unfortunately, they can't do it up like it has been in years past. I hope I'm around for those to see what they do.
Maybe they'll do something for the 160th.
Yeah.
A couple of things, Keeney Manufacturing left, so that front of the t-shirt sponsor is not here yet. Anna did reach out and hear from HO Penn, and they have signed up to be a sponsor again, which is great. So if you know folks, see folks, chat it up. We are looking for sponsors for the race that we're going to have. Leanne, was there something you were going to add? Okay, you look like I saw movement up there. Anyone else? Questions, thoughts? Okay. Next on the agenda is open board positions. We do still have a Republican Town Committee position open and a corporate position open. So if you know of anyone that you would like our PEP committee to approach for a corporate position, or you know of anyone that you would like to suggest reaches out to the Republican Party to see if they can become a volunteer on the board, that would be great. We now have a lovely new document for the responsibilities of the board and stuff, so feel free to use that to help recruit or explain what goes on. And that would be appreciated. It would be nice to have all the seats filled. And then next, we'll go on to the Town of Newington 150th anniversary. I know there's been some work with the different departments on that. Should I open it up to either Lisa Maston or Karen Benner?
Did you, about with the 150th?
Yes.
Really, it's what Karen said is that we're working on the story walk, and we're working with the Friends to possibly do something at the library. I think the Saturday in April that they're looking to have, they want to visit historical homes, or they picked 5 historical places in town, buildings, and the library is one of them. So we're working with them to try to get that ready for that day. That's where we are with that.
Super. Super.
Shit.
Whoops.
Oh, no.
We heard that.
Sorry.
Okay. Next
I thought
up,
I was
that's all right.
Well, now you know I have a potty mouth. Okay. So.
I'm not offended.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why we like mute button.
Okay. I just want to make a comment.
Yes.
About a story walk. One thing I was thinking about, because I've seen the story walk many times walking, and I thought it would be really good if you could have multiple story walks, like at the beginning of the walk, towards the end of the walk, and over by the playground, because some people don't even go around. They just stay by the playground. So their kids would never see that. So if you could have some type of multiple area of a story going on, it might work nicely. That's just my idea.
Anna, is your hand up?
It is up, and I apologize. I had to step away. I had a family phone call that I had to take. And you got through the last few things on the agenda really quick. So kudos on that. But can you just back me up and tell me what happened with the 5K race? What you talked about?
Yes, the 5K race will be the 24th race for October.
Okay.
Not the 25th. That will give us time to hopefully hold the 25th race in an environment where we can really celebrate and have prizes and gatherings and stuff like that. We're hoping that in October we'll be out of the COVID restrictions, but if not, there's no same day registration, there's no refreshments, there's no award ceremony. So I would rather count it 24 as it is and plan a big deal for the next time. Okay. Thank you for the HO Pen. We know that that's in there for their contribution, and we are still looking for a major sponsor for the front of the shirt as we go through from that end. Notice everything, according to me, is by their placement on the shirt, but we'll take donations from everyone. So that's what we said on the 5th. Open board positions, we still have 2 positions open, 1 corporate and 1 Republican. And we were talking about the 150th with the story walks and the library being one of the historical buildings that will be part of the walk.
For bringing me up to speed.
Okay, anything else on the 150th? No, good. All right, new business. I don't have anything under new business. Did anybody else have something they wanted to introduce for next time around? Anna?
Well, it's not for next time around. At the very beginning of the meeting, we talked about how great the staff is doing. And I know they're working very hard. And they probably, if I was in their position, I would probably think I'm overworked and underpaid. And I'm wondering if we can just, since next Monday is Valentine's Day, and next week is also the kickoff of Random Acts of Kindness Week. I'm just wondering if the board would like to entertain the idea of possibly bringing in donuts on Monday and Tuesday, because you have 2 different shifts. I mean, I could coordinate with Elisa, and I'll volunteer my husband to go get the donuts.
Now, does he take taxes, right? Is there a donut missing out of the box when he goes to pick them up?
I haven't
I would be
looked.
tempted.
Lisa Master would have to give me a report on that.
Okay. So to that extent, in staff appreciation, this year, 2021, would normally be the year that we would have our staff appreciation dinner. I hesitate, right? We have in the past all gathered together. It's been an excellent opportunity for staff and board members to be able to mix and get to know each other in a comfortable environment where it's, you have some time to appreciate things. I hesitate to set anything up at this point. You're not gathering. We don't know what's happening or what's going on from that end. But truly, if a staff ever needed or deserved, rather, public recognition for what they've done, it's the staff of the library, and we truly appreciate them. So I, for one, don't have a problem with donuts. We had talked about, possibly doing some kind of lunch thing. Again, it's hard, and I'll look for guidance from Lisa Maston and Karen Benner in terms of what staff would be comfortable with for food or sharing.
I threw out donuts, but now, and I wasn't suggesting Dunkin' Donuts, not that they're not good, but I was willing to send Roger to Middletown to get Neil's Donuts. And the other idea might be one of the boxes from Panera with the assorted sandwiches. That would be another option for lunch. So
if you go to Neil's, I'm going to get a job as a staff member.
Okay, so again, I'm concerned about presentation and people getting the food and going through, right? In the old days, we thought nothing of ordering some pizzas or donuts and, a couple of napkins and whatever, and people would go through and help themselves. So I'm looking for guidance from Karen and Lisa. Is this something that staff would appreciate? Is it something they'd be concerned about?
What we did at Lynn's retirement from staff is the Italian deli. Is that what it's called, or Italian
gourmet?
Gourmet.
Gourmet.
They did bag lunches. So, Panera Bread might do the same thing. I think a lot of it is if something is wrapped and people don't pick through it, that staff is perfectly fine with that. And even if we did something, what we also did is we had one person serving. And that was the other thing that they suggest you do with food is one person, with gloves and masks could serve like whatever. I think lunch would be nice. Donuts are nice too, but mornings are harder because we have to get ready to roll. And, with lunches, there's a 2-hour time period where people eat. So that might be a nice thing. But I think if it could be individually wrapped and people can just grab the package, they would be perfectly fine with that.
Panera's does a nice job.
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, that might be nice.
It's a really nice idea.
I like it.
Thank you.
So Lisa, is 2 days the right thing to do? Because
it definitely, because we work we work it might be better to do like a Tuesday, Wednesday, because we have Mondays are really, well, it doesn't matter, whatever. You're right, Anna. 2 days.
Isn't next Monday?
It's a holiday.
It's a holiday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tuesday, Wednesday is better than Monday, Tuesday?
Yeah. So I think that would be really nice. And yes, we have 2 separate teams. So
How many people in each team?
there's about 10, we're about 10, Karen, right?
Yeah.
About 10 people.
They would be excited.
Okay.
They like food.
I'll
You
make
know,
a
if
motion
anybody-
that we provide lunch for the staff on next Tuesday and a week from now, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Lisa, do you want?
Do we have an estimated dollar amount? Do we need to put that in the proposal?
Well, if I look back, I think what we did with Lynn, wouldn't that be about the same thing, you think?
Not really, because it depends what they charge. We have fewer people, honestly. We invited more people that some of them weren't currently working in the building, and we also had more food, so people could have seconds and stuff. So I don't think it would be as much, Leanne.
Well, bear with me here.
So I'm just looking for a round number, something that we could do a not to exceed amount, just to.
Hold on.
$150. What?
I think it was like 300 and something for Lynn's, but
Yeah, and I don't think maybe 200, Diane, and I think it's going to be a lot less than that.
yeah, I think the additional with the 300 had a cake from Sam's in there too. So I think, or some kind of supplies from Sam's.
Right, and we don't
That
need
added
any of
to
that.
it. So
Yeah,
it
we don't need any
was
of
more
that.
along around the line of $200 for the food.
Yep.
So Lisa, do you want us to just would you prefer a general assortment, or you have a whole week to, like, between now and Friday?
Yeah, why don't I look at it, Anna? Do you want me to get in touch with you? Was that?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, I'll look at it tomorrow.
Unless somebody else wants to coordinate it. I don't have any problems with somebody else.
I'll amend my motion to make it for authorize $200 to spend for lunch for the staff for next week.
I'll second it. Anna.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Wonderful idea.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Great idea and good timing, because we've been struggling to figure out how to recognize the staff with everything that they've done over the last year with this COVID craziness. So I'm glad to have a solution with the individually wrapped meals. So that's great. That is great. Thank you. Public participation. James, is there anyone from the public on?
Still nobody to join us.
All right. Well then, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
This
So
is
moved.
Maureen, so moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, Maureen, second by Christine. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Diane.
You know,
Thank
I
you,
enjoy-
everybody.
Hey, everybody.
I enjoy hearing the active committee reports,
Thank
and
you.
we'll see you guys next month.
Been real.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye now.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.